Hello, everyone, and welcome to the We're All Theatre podcast. Today, we've got a special guest who is not a writer. You've got myself, Robbie. We've got Craig.
Hello again.
And we've got Pauline from the Floral.
Hi, nice to be here.
I was going to call you your full name, but I couldn't remember your surname. It's Pauline what?
Campbell.
Pauline Campbell. So, Pauline, you're the kind of
I'm the venue manager.
And we just thought we'd get you on just to have a chat about the venue, because we're very, very lucky to have this venue, aren't we? Like, it's probably the most prestigious theatre venue left on Wirral now.
Yeah, it is. We're the largest one for sure. And I think the Gladstone's still around and Heswell Hall, but other than that, I think...
It's easily the most prestigious
Easily.
one on the
I think, do you know what,
left.
it's funny, I've loved the Gladstone, I've performed there many times, but it's kind of, I always think of it on the fringes of Wirral, because it's just kind of just on the edge of going into Chester, isn't it, really? But it does have the train station nearby.
Yeah, it's a very lovely venue there.
And isn't that gorgeous, Port Sunlight Village as well, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's beautiful. Yeah,
So
but we've got the sea views.
What made you want to say yes to having a festival?
Wow. So we've got a summer of festivals this year. So we were really excited. The Spoken Word Festival was going to be part of that. So we've got we've got a whole season. So we've got the folk festival, we've got the jazz festival. We are going Beatlemania for a whole weekend, and then we've got the Spoken Word Festival. You guys,
Please don't tire them out on the Beatle weekend, because that's just before ours,
it is
isn't
right
it?
before you, yeah. So we're really looking forward to it. So those festivals fit in with everything that we wanted to do this year, and to have new writers and established writers as well. I know you've got a few people there who've had stuff on before, but you know, to have new writers here especially was something that we're really keen to do and to promote. And as Borough of Culture this year, we thought it would just be a brilliant thing for us to do.
Absolutely, and we do have to give a shout out, because we have got some Borough of Culture funding, which has thankfully helped us put it on in this venue, because as everything, cost always comes down to the bottom line, doesn't it?
Always
Unfortunately,
to the bottom line. And I had some Borough of Culture funding as well, which has gone towards you guys.
Very grateful that you've put some of that towards us, and to other things as well. I know
And
it's
to
going
other
to other
things,
events.
yeah, we've got 6 different things as part of the Borough of Culture this year, which we're really proud to support.
But we're really looking forward to just being able to give people an opportunity, because I know one of the things we've talked about on previous episodes, haven't we, is when we came out of uni, you kind of just let go free and just expected to make your way in the big wide world of acting, as you know, coming from the big smoke. Like, it's not an easy world. You've either got to be cutthroat or very, very lucky, haven't you?
Yeah. Funny, I was just talking about exactly the same thing earlier when I was talking to somebody else, and both of us went to college and did catering and ended up in entertainment. And the reason that we both did catering was because our parents said exactly the same thing, was get something to fall back on and we'll support you to go into theatre. Get a trade and we'll support you to go into theatre.
But it is hard, isn't it? You do see lots of. I mean, I don't know if you agree or not. You find lots of couples where one will be creative, one will have what we'd call the normal job,
A real job.
Yeah, to support the dream until it happens.
It's
essentially,
very, very true.
You know,
nowadays there is a lot more education that people can do for theatre.
Yeah.
When I left school a long time ago, there was no course for venue management or for theatre management. You went in as an usher and you worked your way up through the ranks, and that was it. You know, there was very few technical courses. There was definitely no degree courses.
It's like data protection. My dad did that. It was a week-long course for the police. He did that years ago. And now, you know, there's whole degrees, and it's just interesting to see how things come, isn't it? Kind of full circle.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But there's some great courses now that people can go and have an education before they come into the industry, and so many choices now as well, where there wasn't that much choice when I was coming out of school at 16.
I think one of the other things I'm looking forward to is I just love being surrounded by creative people.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to have on this festival. It's going to be chock full of creatives. Yeah. Hopefully not too many divas, but lots of creativity.
It's interesting.
We don't mind a diva.
It's interesting when you talk about the like the paths and stuff that you would take, because one of the things that one of my lecturers said to me when I was at university is a lot of people are becoming more portfolio workers, so they're expanding out and they're learning all these different things, and they just pop back in when they're relative.
That's exactly,
you know, when you can make the most out of them. So someone might be off doing a little bit of writing here, and then they see this festival, they pop in, they put on a show, and then they're back to their day job, and then they get something that takes them on a tour. So they're just like using whatever skill is just there to be
Finding
used at the
flexible
time.
jobs, doesn't it, to kind of help you support?
It gives you great life experience if you're a writer as well, doesn't it? But we do that with our technicians. So our technicians generally will be on an 18-hour-a-week contract so that they can go and do other things. And then they come back to here to do shows with us. And that's great because everything that they're learning, freelancing in the conference world or working in other theatres, they're bringing back to us as well. So I think everybody needs to have that sort of the side hustle as we...
That is the term at the moment, isn't it? The side hustle.
Yeah, I think it's great, and people grow that way, don't they? And I think the world has moved on a lot from lifetime jobs in the same place.
Well, I think the perception of people who are going into the industry as like an artist where you just go in and you do the one thing and everything would click into place and just work, that kind of idea is kind of eroding away a little bit. So now you do have to go, well, I'm going to have to do a little bit of editing. I might go and do this podcast and a radio play.
But that's how you get jobs. Like, I wouldn't say I'm the greatest actor, but I've worked steadily because I have other skills they can utilise at no extra cost. I can MD, I can write basic bits of music, I can speak Russian, and not very well anymore, but, I have loads of random skills. They're like, oh, well, rather than hire two people, let's just hire Robbie.
Yeah.
So, and I always say to people, have a skill, have something that makes you memorable. Even if you don't get the job, they still want to work with you, so they'll come back to you at some point.
Yeah. I had a really good friend who came out of Mountview and was told in his last year at Mountview, you're too quirky, your voice isn't the best, you're not the best actor, and you look too quirky, you're never going to work. He hasn't stopped working since that day. It gave him the impetus to say, well, sod you, I'm going to
I'll
work.
make it work.
Yeah. But also what he's done is he's played on that quirkiness. So he's a great writer, he's a brilliant director, he's a great actor, he's got a fabulous singing voice. And he hasn't stopped since that day. And I think that awful situation gave him that energy to go and be something a bit different and not just sit and wait for the Bill Kenwrights and the Cameron McIntoshes of this world to ring.
Don't you look at the likes of James Dreyfus? He's played camp in almost everything, hasn't he? But he plays it really well, and so people want to watch him in lots of different things because it's a different version of the same character. Like Hugh Grant is always that romantic, kind of slightly buffoon, isn't he? But he plays it so well. You're happy to watch most films because if you like him, you know his style, you watch most of his work. So it's actually a unique selling point.
Yeah,
That's a nice story as well because that's a beautiful inflection point. It's like at that point, do I turn and do something else or do I double down?
Yeah, and he doubled down. And he's done brilliant with it. We've put one of his plays on here, and he does stuff all over the country and has been as far as New York with his stage show. He has a drag persona that's a nun, which is quite random.
I think all drag personas are fairly random, aren't they?
Yeah.
It sounds like this guy might be due an apology. So if anyone hears this podcast,
That was from Mountview in the late 80s,
Just going off
early
piece
90s.
for a second. Do you not love how, like, obviously with our drag culture becoming quite big now, the Americans have all these very eloquent names, don't they? And we have like bag of chips.
Yeah.
We go very English with our drag names, don't we, over here?
traditional.
What would yours be, Paul? If you were going to have a drag persona, male or female, have you got a name or
Well,
not?
yeah, I have, and I've had my drag queen name for years. So before I
Is
got...
Was it
this a
bestowed
first?
upon you?
Yeah, so before I got married, my maiden name was Lorraine.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always just Miss Lorraine, the worst drag queen in the West End. And some of my friends still now refer to me as Miss Lorraine. But my favourite is Choriza May.
that's
It's
good.
just
That's
the
amazing.
best for a Spanish drag queen. It's just the best name.
If I was ever going to do it, I came up with Suppository.
Ah, lovely. I like that. I have a friend down in Brighton who's Caravan Park.
Fantastic.
And her fans are called the Caravanettes.
Oh, it's just such a funny way, isn't it? But it's interesting. I mean, I wonder where theatre will come in like 20 years' time, because obviously that kind of theatre would have been very niche even 20, 30 years ago. You look at the likes of Lily Savage, and how groundbreaking he was at the time for having a show on the
Phenomenal.
BBC.
Yeah, but wasn't he wonderful though? He made drag mainstream.
Yeah.
He took that the fear that your son readers of the 80s had about the whole being overly out there with you know, campness or your sexuality. Even if you were straight, you could still be
It's a little
overtly
bit, America's
camp.
still in the 80s, whereas we've moved on a little bit from it. I think they need to catch up with that mindset.
And I think Paul O'Grady absolutely broke the mold with that. I think he took that idea of a drag queen, but made it into something that everyone knew.
It was a relatable character, wasn't it? You all knew that lady.
Everyone knew that woman with the fag hanging out of her mouth and her roots showing and all slightly dishevelled. And would she call herself the blonde bomb site?
Something like that, yeah. I mean, I think the northern gritty humour always helps as well. There's something about northern humour.
Yeah.
Did you miss that down south?
Desperately, yeah, I really did. And, you know, in London's busy and full, and people just want to get to where they're going, and it's very transient. So you don't really get to know your neighbours very well because they might move in 6 to 12 months' time. And this is London specifically, not just the south. You know, I've been to some great places down south where the people are warm and lovely. But in London, it is very much, well, what's my point? Because they'll have moved on in 6 months or 12 months' time. When we came back, my husband's Scottish and had been in London 25 years or so. And when we came back, we went shopping and we were in a local store and we came out and my husband was piling the stuff in the car and he said, just a question. Why is everyone trying to talk to me?
It's unheard of down south, isn't it? I sit on the tube trying to give people the eyeball for like a conversation. And they're all sat in their little newspapers. Whereas up here, I was sat with a friend from Luton. We were sat in the Ship and Mitre in Liverpool. And this woman was sat there and was like, she's giving us the IT, you know. She's like, what do you mean? Like, she wants to chat.
Yeah.
I said, that she might be swinging. I said, but I think she wants to chat. And they did.
Yeah.
They managed to get their kids away with the sister, I think it was. And they were on a night out and said, we'd like to go to one of the gay bars. I said, oh, well, we're not going. I said, but we can drop you off on our way home. Because you do, don't you? If you know somewhere, we're friendly up north.
And it's lovely. And it's so lovely being back up here again. You know, just to 35 years I was away. The accent sort of gives it away a bit that I was down there for a lot longer than I lived up here. But to be back home is just joyous, you know.
All those memories come flooding back.
Oh, we're 10-minute walk from the beach and we've bought a dog and, you know, I'm living the most beautiful suburban life now.
Just need the hot weather, don't we?
Just need the hot
only
weather.
bad thing. Need some good weather. If you could bring like the Essex weather up to the northwest.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? Although the Wirral does have a microclimate, I've been told.
I believe so. And we're due a couple of heat waves, fingers crossed.
That
in
would be
June.
quite nice, wouldn't it? That'd be lovely. I managed to get like a drowned rat yesterday in Arrow Park. Got absolutely drowned up there, covered in mud. It was fine.
So one of the things I was wondering about, because obviously we're putting a festival on, we've got 5,400 tickets. And let's say we sold out, that's a lot of people potentially coming to the building in a short period of time.
Huge amount of people, yeah. We'll cope.
Crowd control.
Yeah.
Quite busy, but we're looking forward to it. We've tried to, haven't we? We're talking to, we've got lots of diverse shows in there. We've got some for the family. We've got some autobiographical, haven't we? We've got a couple of kind of dramas, thrillers. I've got a couple of farces as well. So we're hoping there'll be something for everybody.
Oh, it's going to be great. And, you know, one of the things that I'm so keen on since I came back here is to open the doors of the Floral to more diverse audiences, to bring people into the venue that wouldn't necessarily come to the theatre. You know, the theatre is not elitist, but there is still that
There can be a monetary restriction. That's
certainly
the only
a
restriction,
perception. The
There
theatre is kind of still for a certain type of
for
people.
a certain type of people, and that's what we're really making such an effort to break down here. You know, we have a massive diverse set of shows coming up with you, but also over the next year we've got huge comics coming in, we've had Blood Brothers, we've got other West End shows coming in, we've got great touring shows. The price point is everything from £5 a ticket to £40 a ticket. It's affordable and it's there
and it's the same
for
everywhere.
everybody.
You know more expensive than some other venues.
Oh,
really,
not
when you
at
look
all.
At it.
No, not at all. You know, and you can have a really lovely evening here and spend as much or as little as you want.
Well, it's funny because some people do look at it, oh, that's a bit pricey. It's like, but then they'll go and pay £90 to see Madonna or Elton John. It's like, this is just as good in a different way.
£300 to see Taylor Swift.
You know, but people will, die-hard fans will. But I'm like, but you could go and see 6 live-action stories that are amazing.
Yeah.
For, you know, the same kind of price.
I think sometimes, and I get it, because we are in a cost of living crisis, it's about making sure that you get value for that small amount of money that you do have to spend on luxury. And, you know, culture and theatre is a luxury. So it's making sure that you get the best value for that. You know, to come to a venue where you know that what you're going to see is going to be good quality, to know that it's going to be professionally produced,
kudos behind it, hasn't it?
to know that you're going to get a lovely clean venue with great bar facilities, comfortable seats, all of that. We can offer that here.
You're so lucky there's not really a bad seat in this
There's no
big
bad
theatre,
seats
is
in
there?
this.
There's no bad seats here.
Best design thing they did when they redesigned it.
Absolutely. And there's loads of leg room. It's a really comfortable venue. The staff are great. I mean, we have a 90 volunteers that work here with us, and they work here because they love the Floral, and they are phenomenal, and they keep our doors open. You know, and then, you know, we've got great staff. Our stewards are fabulous. You know, I'm fabulous.
Of course.
Our great marketing team, Hannah's here with us today. You know,
like,
she's making sure I don't go off script.
Well, we know you love to talk. That's why I thought we'll invite Pauline to a podcast, because if we need someone to talk, Pauline will talk for us happily, with gusto.
I'm not quite sure whether to take that.
It's a good thing. Do you know what? I
thing.
feel too many people are losing the ability to talk and connect because obviously screens take over, don't they?
They do. They really do.
You know, we're missing this human interaction. That's one of the things that theatre can give you without you having to necessarily join in. Like, you still feel like you're amongst humans, but you can kind of almost be a voyeur, really, can't you? Kind of watching from the sidelines.
And it's something very different than what you get from cinema.
Yeah.
I find that cinema's very two-dimensional. You know, even though, you know, they might have spent like billions of pounds on that film, it's not, I don't feel that it's a social thing that you're doing.
No, for me, as somebody who creates work, like when you leave the theatre and you're having that conversation, all those conversations are completely different.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're coming out of the cinema, you are kind of discussing the one vertical slice that everyone gets.
Well, that's it. And you know everyone has watched exactly the same version, whereas things go wrong in theatre. You may not know, but there'll be ever so slight variations every day in theatre.
Absolutely, yeah. And, you know, and just for people who aren't involved in theatre, if you've got a long-running show as well, you will always have your very last Saturday matinee before a cast change or before the show closes. You will always have a cod show where the trick is that the audience don't notice what's going on, but everybody who's worked on it for all that time will see all the tricks and the giggles and the fun. And I worked on a lot of West End shows. I've been very, very lucky, but the one that always sticks in my mind is we did a last Saturday matinee of Grease, and they had a yellow rubber glove. And the game was, for the whole show, that rubber glove was not allowed to leave the stage. So they were handing it off to other people, and this rubber glove was in every single scene. And the 1,400 people that were at the Cambridge Theatre that day, the only people that clocked it were the super fans who were in on the joke. And that was
those who've been
just
before.
a bit, yeah, well, we had people who'd been, you know, seen it 50, 60, 70, 500 times. They saw the gag and they loved it, and they felt like they were part of what was going on stage.
On the joke then as well, yeah. It's like a special
but the general
group.
audience didn't spot it, but for everybody else, it was just the most beautiful
Mad
moment.
though, isn't it? Because I bet it was really blatantly obvious, but because they're enjoying and they're engrossed in the show, they just assume everything is part of it.
Sleight of hand. You're not concentrating on it. When you know it's there, it becomes your focus. Yeah, but yeah.
We're gonna have to wrap up in a moment. But are there any shows you're kind of keeping your eye out on in the festival? I know, because you've got some friends who've written things.
I have.
Titles that jumped out at you.
I'm so looking forward to seeing The Appointment. So
It should be good. It's got a good twist in it.
It's got a brilliant
Can't
twist
say
in
any
it.
more than that.
There's no spoilers, but yeah, I really looking forward to that.
And that is one of our hardest ones because that's on at the awkward slot of 5:30 to 6:30, which is kind of
is it
people
tea
finishing.
time slot?
Yeah, so we're going to
Yeah.
really try and push that because you don't want to miss that show.
Oh, that's going to be so good. And I know what the twist is because my friend's written it. And oh my God. And Robbie's in it. So
I am. And do you know what? I'm nervous because I'm known in the industry as Robbie will know his lines on the nights. But if not, someone can save me. This is a one-man show, so if I mess up, I have to dig myself out of my own hole. I'm not planning to mess up.
no, could
but
you
I,
not?
No, I'm going to try not to.
Yeah, try not to. But
I have a feeling that Kathy will be chasing you down the prom with a big
know.
stick.
Well, when we did Moggy's the Musical, it's like, you changed that first line, didn't you? He's like, "Ah, you noticed." Didn't do it perfectly, but it came out. It had the right kind of feel, but it wasn't exactly how it's written.
Oh, brilliant. Oh,
But
dear
no,
me.
I'm going to put... Do you know what? I haven't been on stage for years, and I'm really looking forward to it. Because I work in schools doing my history workshops. You've been busy sorting out life, playing human, haven't you? So
yeah, it's
for
been
both
really,
of us,
really fun time for me also, yeah.
it's quite cathartic almost to be able to go back on stage. It'll be quite emotional, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to it. The festival was a nice surprise for this year.
Oh yeah,
It's not
'cause
planned
what was the story like? What made you put on a festival? Craig said, "Let's put on a show," and I said, "Let's do a festival." And Craig didn't say no. That was so it's your fault. You never said no.
But I also never took you serious either.
Until I said, "I've got a
Right up
meeting with the
until the
Floral."
moment that it was like, right, we're doing it now. Come to the Floral. Wow.
It was still never a guarantee. It was like, well, there's no harm in going and having the chat.
It was
I'm more of a
great.
progressive person. You know, you
Yeah.
build up to something, and
yeah.
Robbie's like, how far can it go?
You'll never do it otherwise. You've just got to jump in. You've got to be confident you can get the job done. And the
Yeah.
best thing is, I dream big. You pull me down from the rafters to what's actually plausible.
Yeah.
And between that, we've got a great partnership.
And the great thing is, you know, we did the variety show this year as well.
The one with
and-
Shirley Ballas.
Yeah, and that, you know, that was the first time of a show that is now going to become our Easter variety show. And, you know, we're really keen to bring variety to the Wirral and have proper old-fashioned theatre like that. And the thing is that this year it washed its face. And in year one, to wash its face is great.
Yeah.
You know, then next year we can start thinking about how much money will it make and who can we pay and what can we do and all of that sort of thing. And that's the same with doing the festival. If you wait and save up and get the money for it and go and talk to banks and all of that, you'll procrastinate. It won't ever get done. You know, jump in there, feet first, get it on, wash its face, and then next year
Learn your
you've
lessons,
got that build.
grow a little bit.
There's so many lessons that you'll learn from it. Make the tweaks, make the
Be
changes.
honest, though, the best thing was getting the funding. So thank you, Pauline, because without that, it was a massive risk for us. You've put the risk almost to zero for us, so we can try our hardest.
Which is great, you
And
know.
plug any extra
and,
cash we had aside
yeah.
into other things to promote it.
yeah,
And things, so.
and for us, it's so important for us to showcase this and to bring a new and diverse audience through the venue. And if from Borough of Culture, we will hopefully with Mersey Art Zone, the variety show, and you guys, and we're doing another one called The Bar at the End of Time, which is for people who would not be able to come to mainstream theatre through neurodiversity or physical obstructions. They're the things that we're doing through the Borough of Culture, and all of them, the idea of everything that we've done all has a theme of bringing people that wouldn't necessarily come to see a show at the Floral and to bring them in.
Fantastic.
I think it's working.
I think it is. Right, we're going to have to say goodbye because we've gone over our time a little bit. Thank you very much, Pauline, for taking the time to speak to us.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you for asking me.
And we look forward to the festival getting ahead very shortly.
We do.
Yay!